All right, today we are going deep. We're talking about the silicon brains that are powering this whole AI revolution. We're going to break down the specialized hardware that makes everything from your phone's camera to those giant language models actually work. Let's get right into it.
So, let's start with a question you've probably wondered about, even if you didn't realize it. How is it that your tiny phone can unlock with your face in, like, a split second, but a super powerful desktop computer might literally take weeks to train a new AI model? The answer isn't about just raw power. It's about having the right kind of power.
You see, the heart of the problem is that modern AI is just incredibly, unbelievably thirsty for calculations. And this isn't something you can solve by just making a processor a little bit faster. Nope. It forces us to completely rethink how we do computation in the first place.
Because when we say AI or neural networks, what we're really talking about under the hood are just gigantic math problems. The main thing they do over and over and over again is an operation called a multiply accumulate, or a MAC. It's dead simple arithmetic. Multiply two numbers, add the result to a running total. But the thing is, they have to do it billions of times.
And just how many are we talking about? Well, to recognize a single image, a pretty common AI model called ResNet-50 has to perform about 4 billion of these operations. 4 billion calculations just to figure out if that's a picture of a cat or a dog. It's staggering.
All of this creates a massive traffic jam. See, in traditional computers, the processor is constantly having to go get data from memory and has to travel over this one relatively narrow path. This is a famous problem called the von Neumann bottleneck. For AI, it's like trying to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool with a drinking straw. It just doesn't work.
And that brings us to our first processor, the CPU, the Central Processing Unit. For decades, this chip has been the undisputed king of computing. It's a versatile genius. But for this new world of AI, it's a brilliant king ruling over completely the wrong kingdom.
And you can see the mismatch right here. CPUs are built to be incredibly clever. They handle one complex task after another with almost no delay. That's what we call low latency. But AI doesn't need a clever genius. It needs a massive army of workers all doing simple, repetitive math at the exact same time. It needs high throughput, shoveling huge amounts of data, not lightning-fast speed on one single thing.
And to put that in perspective, a typical CPU has a handful of these really powerful cores, somewhere between 4 and maybe 64. Each one is a master of complex logic, but there just aren't enough of them to build the massive army that AI demands.
So this massive gap in ability created a huge opportunity, and it led to the rise of these specialized challengers. These are processors that were either tweaked or in some cases built from the ground up just to solve AI's unique math problem.
And then you see this. The first challenger, the GPU, doesn't have dozens, of course. Oh no, it has thousands. We're talking more than 10,000 simple, efficient cores, all ready to go. The difference between this and a CPU is just night and day.
This beast is the Graphics Processing Unit, or GPU. It is the ultimate parallel processing general. And the funny thing is, it was originally designed for something else entirely, rendering millions of pixels on your computer screen all at once. But it just so happens that that architecture, an army of simple cores working in parallel, was accidentally perfect for the math that powers neural networks. Now, to get around that data bottleneck we talked about, the GPU has a special weapon called high bandwidth memory, or HBM. Just picture stacking memory chips on top of each other to create this super wide highway for data. It delivers 10, sometimes even 30 times more data than a CPU can handle. On top of that, modern GPUs have special little engines called tensor cores, which are built to do the exact kind of math that AI loves. It's this 1-2 punch that makes GPUs the absolute workhorse for training pretty much every large AI model out there today. But our next challenger takes specialization to a whole new level. If the GPU is a general that was adapted for a new war, the TPU, or Tensor Processing Unit, is a hyper-specialized artisan. It was custom-built by Google with one single mission in life: run their massive neural networks with ridiculous efficiency.
So what's its secret? Well, it's a brilliant design called a systolic array. Okay, imagine this. Instead of constantly going back and forth to memory, the TPU preloads all the AI model's instructions into this massive grid of math units. Then the data pulses through the grid, almost like a heartbeat, getting crunched at every single step. This design almost completely eliminates that memory bottleneck, which slashes energy use and makes its performance super predictable.
And the results? Well, they speak for themselves. According to Google's own numbers, the very first TPU delivered 83 times better performance per watt than the CPUs they had back then. That kind of efficiency is an absolute game changer when you're running AI at a massive cloud scale.
Okay, but that's all in the giant data center. What about the AI in your pocket? Well, that brings us to our final processor, the Neural Processing Unit, or NPU. You can think of it as this nimble little agent living on your device. It's a tiny, specialized brain designed to bring AI out of the cloud and right onto your phone or your smartwatch, all while just sipping on the battery. And really, the NPU's entire reason for existing comes down to power. Just look at this. A big data center GPU can guzzle hundreds of watts of power. A server CPU is also pretty hungry. But an NPU runs on just a tiny fraction of that. We're talking 2 to 10 watts. This extreme efficiency is the only reason you can have AI running on your phone all day long.
And this is stuff you use every single day. That instant face unlock on your phone, that's the NPU. Real-time language translation, yelling, "Hey Google," from across the room. All those crazy AR filters on social media, that is all the NPU at work. And because of it, all that stuff can happen locally on your device, which is way faster, more private, and it doesn't just kill your battery in an hour.
So after seeing all these powerful contenders, you're probably thinking, okay, so who wins? Is it the CPU, GPU, TPU, or NPU? But here's the twist. That's the wrong question. The future isn't a battle to the death. It's a collaboration. It's about building the perfect team for the job.
This strategy actually has a name: heterogeneous computing. It sounds complicated, but the idea is really simple. Use a mix of different processors together in one system. In this new world, the good old CPU acts as the orchestra conductor. It manages everything. It loads the data, it runs the operating system. Meanwhile, the specialized processors, the DPUs, the TPUs, and the NPUs, they're like the star soloists, each one stepping up to play their part perfectly when it's their turn.
So let's bring it all home. The CPU is your versatile conductor, great at everything, but it just can't handle massive parallel tasks. The GPU is the undisputed king of AI training, thanks to its parallelism, but man, does it use a lot of power. The TPU gives you absolutely unmatched efficiency in the cloud, but you're often locked into its specific software. And finally, the NPU brings AI to all our gadgets with incredibly low power, but it's not built for the heaviest lifting. You see, each one has a critical role to play on the team. So we'll leave you with this final thought. The revolution that put a computer in every single pocket, that was built on the CPU. The next big revolution looks to be ambient AI, intelligence that's just seamlessly woven into the world around us. So the real question is, as that intelligence moves from the cloud to our cars, to our homes, and maybe even our bodies, what kind of brain, or what combination of these brains will it all run on? The answer to that is going to define the next decade of technology.